Okay, I have now created my border and title block as pictured on 7-12 in your book. I have modified it just a little bit so that it says OCTC. I've never been real happy with how large they make the text, or it looks fairly large. Mine looks larger than what's in the book. So let's modify that just a little bit. Okay? So let's see. We're going to select all the text. We can just select one. Let's just select all of it, and that is all the ones we want to modify the height of it so that it's not so large. Okay, so I'm selecting all of those, then I right click and left click on properties. You get your properties menu over here, and let's look down through here, and it says contents vary. The height is 0.15. Well, let's modify that and make it a little bit smaller. And 1/8 inch is a common size, of course, standardized size for all text on a drawing, unless it's a really large drawing. So I'm going to set this, because it's part of the title block, just a little smaller than 1/8 inch. So let's try 0.1. Whoops. Highlight it. 0.1. Enter. And that gives you a little more room to put the information next to it later on. Okay? And so I'm pressing escape, and I'll close my properties. So that's all now smaller, and then just OCTC. You can move that over and eyeball it and place it kind of in the center. Not real happy with the font that we default to, but we'll use it. Okay, now you notice that the border is not exactly in the center of my page, and that's okay, you know, for the sake of learning how to do this, but you can position that, and you can get real carried away and do a calculation and figure out exactly where it needs to be in the center. But I just recommend selecting all of it and then going to the move command. I'm just going to type M and enter, and then it wants to know the base point, and I'm going to grab here right in the center, just pick left click once. I have ortho turned on, I believe. Let's see. No, ortho is not on, so I'll go down here and pick ortho, and I'm going to slide over a slight amount. I might need to turn off my snaps. I'm pressing the F3 button and turning off my object snaps, and I'm just going to nudge it over just a little bit, left to the right. Alright, now to get it top to bottom, I just left click and put a window around everything, and then go to move, M, enter, pick, and now I'm going to move in this direction just slightly. And actually I could go back to the left just a little bit. Let me do that. So by selecting the objects first and then entering a command, you're doing what we call a noun verb command operations. So you're selecting nouns or objects first, then you're typing or selecting a command to operate on it. Okay, so that's 7-12, got us up to that point. Then we're going to create now a template file, save this work as a template file. Right now it is drawing 4, at least in my setup it is. Doesn't really matter what name it's defaulted to up here. We're going to go to the Save As up here. So click on the big arrow, click on Save As or hover, and we want to save it as a drawing template. So we left click on that. Now it's going to store it in the default location of AutoCAD for templates. You can put it there. You just have to be able to navigate all the way to it to capture it later. Okay? So when we save it, it's going to save it way down into your hierarchy of your hard drive. So just be aware of that, where it's located, by doing that little drop down. Or you can go to the desktop, just left click on it, and in here if you have created a folder where you're saving all your drawings, you can then save it in there. Okay, so I'm just going to pick this class, let's see, spring, and 103 CAD or 100 CAD, and I'm going to save it in here. That way I know where it is. Okay, now the name they recommend us using is capital A, lowercase a, CAD, ACAD, and dash, capital A, dash, capital H, dash, capital TITLE. Title, ACAD, A size, horizontal, and it's a title block. And we'll click Save, and it comes up with a template options box, and in here we can type what this is. Now, A size, horizontal, layout, with title block, something like that. This is important, especially if you create templates in the future and you're sharing it with other people. Okay, we'll just leave that as default, and we click OK. Alright, so now up in your Windows title bar you should see the name of the drawing and where it's saved. Okay? Alright, so that gets us over to page 714, where we exit AutoCAD, or we exit this drawing. And I would just exit the drawing. We've already saved it, so I can pick Close, the little X. Alright, and we can go up here and pick Start New, and your little startup dialog shows up, and then we pick Use Template, and of course it's going to jump to the default location, so we're going to have to browse and go and navigate to your folder on your desktop where you're saving your drawings and templates. So we go to Spring, and then I put it in 103, and there it is. And I click Open, and AutoCAD automatically, by using a template file, starts up a drawing with all of this on it. Now, the following pages of the tutorial takes you through the creation of the Geneva CAM drawing. You will need to create a viewport. We did not add a viewport as part of our template. And sometimes you do when you create templates, and sometimes you're leaving the viewport as an option, as you may just draw right here in paper space, or you may have more than one viewport. When you start the Geneva Cam drawing, you'll be over here in model space and drawing in here. Alright, so I'm going to just draw a big circle. Okay, they recommend starting at the world coordinate of 4.5. So let's just draw a circle, and it wants to know the center point, so I'm going to just type in my world coordinates. This is on page 716, 5, 4.5. And it looks really thick, and I'm drawing it on the title block layer, which is fine. I can change that. And our radius is 4.5. Okay, and yes, it's very large compared to the drawing area, okay, which the grid is showing for us. That's okay. Over here, when we create the layout and draw the viewport, we will change our viewport to match what we want to see. Alright, so we go over here and let's change this to perhaps object line or a construction line. There. Alright, so here we have a circle that's 9 inches in diameter. Let's go to layout. We don't see it over here yet. I'm going to go forward several pages. Now our object is actually smaller than that, so let's get way over here to page 723. It says on your own, complete the 2 views. In the Dimension Style Manager, set your options under the Fit tab to control the appearance of radius and diameter. Now, you don't want to dimension it. I wouldn't recommend dimensioning it until you get your viewport set. So go to page 724, and we're going to create a viewport in there. So if we click on the Layout tab, which we're there, if a view is still there for some reason, a viewport, then we're going to erase the viewport like we did before. Then we set the viewport layer as the current layer. Let's do that. Viewport. And then we select single in the standard viewports list. So that's under View, under the pull down menu, View, and then Viewports, and then New Viewport. I'm just going to select one. And then we draw out a viewport. I would recommend turning off O-snaps, and let's just draw it by eye. Left click once here, and then here, just to be inside the border slightly, not over the top of it. Boom, as soon as you click, there it shows up. Alright, now we're going to set the scale. You can follow the instructions in the book for setting the scale. Another method for doing it is to just double click inside the viewport you just created, and then check your scale down here. Now they want us to set our scale to 0.5, so it shows up down here in your status bar. So then go over here and we look for a 1 to 2 or a 0.5, or we don't see it, but you can also use 6 inches equals a foot. Now I'm going to show you the custom setting, and it gives us all the other ratios that are typically metric, but they work really well for standard scales, or we can use it with our imperial drawing. It's just a ratio. It's already set up for us. So once you have selected custom, just pick reset, pick metric and imperial scales. It adds all these metric type of scales that we can also use in the imperial setting. Click OK. Viewport's still active. Now we go back to the list and we get all these other types of scales. And so 1 to 2, it automatically scales it to half scale, or 1 to 2, or 0.5, whatever you want to call it. Then you can press on your mouse wheel and pan around and position the viewport view of your model space. Okay? Now, that's the actual outside construction circle you're looking there at half scale. Once you have it in a good position that you have enough room, because you'll have the other view here, you can tell where it needs to be, so it's balanced left and right, top and bottom. Then go down here and find the little padlock and left click on it and you lock the viewport. Now you can zoom in and out with your wheel and it won't change the scale of your viewport. If that padlock is not set, if the viewport is not locked, then when you roll your wheel to zoom in and out, it's actually going to change the scale of your drawing, and you have to go back and reset it constantly. Okay? So that concludes that portion. Then you're going to hide the viewport borders, adjust the dimension scale, set up your dimensions, and create all those dimensions like you see on page 7-29. And that is how you do the basic tutorial for templates and plotting. Now, in the assignment, I ask you to plot it to a PDF. So I will be back in a moment with another part that shows you how to set up to do that.